Hello, good evening. This is Tanvi. On behalf of our Optom IBITS team, I would like to welcome you all to our IBITS e-learning session. A brief introduction about the program. IBITS e-learning session is initiated by 4Optom and it is an interactive program while we discuss optometric topics. Today we have Mr. Shubhadeep Das who will be covering about ophthalmic lens surface coating. Before we start, a brief introduction about our speaker. Mr. Subhadeep has done his Bachelor of Optometry from Techno India, Kolkata, affiliated to West Bengal University of Technology, and further completed his Masters from Bharati Vidyapeeth University, Pune. Currently, he is senior faculty at Malaysia in Management and Science University for past 8 years and currently pursuing his PhD from Chitkara University. I welcome you to the program, sir. Over to you.
The scratch resistant coating is one of the way of reducing or resisting the lens from getting scratched. Now, mind you, the term that I'm using is scratch resistant coating. I'm not telling it as scratch proof or I'm not telling it as anti-scratch. It is scratch resistant. That means even after this coating, the lenses are still going to get scratches, but what this coating does is it reduces or it protects lens from getting scratches faster, but it does not mean it is anti-scratch or scratch proof. Now, why this point is important? Because when we as an optometrist, we are going to suggest some kind of coating or any kind of coating, so we are going to dispense this kind of spectacles to the patients, we need to inform in and out details about it. Now, there are certain ways of manufacturing the scratch resistant coating. The first way, or how is or application of the coating, the first way is a deep coat. Now, what is a deep coat? There, if you see here, this kind of process is mostly done in most of the industries. What they do, usually done in labs where lacquer or varnish, that means the material by which the lens is getting coated, varnish is applied to the lens by dipping. It is usually used to produce large volume production. As you can see, it is a very useful method of producing because you can dip the lens inside the lacquer and bring it out. Now, there is a controlled rate of insertion and withdrawal which achieves a constant hard coat thickness, and also the operation cost is quite low, but investment is very high. Why operation? Because you just need one person, or maybe sometimes you don't need a person to operate. You can just automatically control this insertion and withdrawal sometimes, or sometimes you just need one person who can control this insertion and withdrawal, but the investment is high. What is the investment? The whole process, the whole machinery that you need to imply, that is quite high on investment. That's why this is the most regularly used, or this is the most commonly used way of coating the lenses. Why? The most important reason is because it has a control rate of insertion and withdrawal, and at the same time it can coat both the front surface and the back surface of the lens. The next way of coating is a spin coat lens. Spin coat also we use the same lacquer or thing, but instead of dipping it in the coat, what we do is we have a spinner which go and sprinkle the lacquer in front on the surfaces of the lenses. Now, what is the disadvantage of it? Because we cannot do the coatings at the same time for both the surface. We have to do first the front surface, then we have to do the back surface. This is one disadvantage. Second disadvantage is the operation cost is quite high because the spinner and everything, the rotation, the humidity, everything requires a higher operation cost. Next, in mold coat, these are formed by making the hard coat in the mold at the same time as the lens is formed by a thermostating process. In principle, this is a good way of making the coat since it inherently bonds with the base of the lens, but since they are non-tintable, they are usually made to make semi-finished lens. Now, this kind of coat is like you are injecting the coat in the mold of the lens itself, but the only disadvantage with this is after you have done this, it cannot be re-tinted. It can only be done with a non-tintable, which lens does not require any tint. Because with the hard coat, you cannot tint the lens. So if you have to tint a lens, you have to first do the tinting, then do the. Now, Sometimes, most of the time, we always think that whether hard coating is required on front surface or back surface, because when we talk about hard coating, we mostly say it's due to scratch resistant coating. We want to resist scratch, and our usual thinking is that scratches generally come on front surface, but that's not the case, because scratches can also come. That is, finer scratches can generally appear on the back surface, especially when we are here, because we tend to keep our, or patients tend to keep their lenses in their pocket. They tend to misuse the lens, or even sometimes they tend to clean the lenses without the microfiber cloth that is provided. So in that case, finer scratches usually come on both the surfaces, both the front surface and back surface. So ideal is to coat both the surfaces. Usually for a finished lens, both sides are coated when it comes. Finished or ready stock, the term that you're seeing here means, that means a lens which is coming in finished power. That means normal spherical powers or normal spherocylindrical powers. But unfinished or semi-finished lens are like progressive lenses. The front surface progressive comes, but you need to grind the power in it. In that case, the front surface comes as coated. Then after you have generated power on the back surface, and then you recoat the lens. But usually the point over here is coating is required on both surfaces. There is a small picture here to identify or discriminate between a coated lens and uncoated lens. So this is a coated lens which is much more smoother on the surface. So many people, they generally ask that, or they generally have a doubt that, doctor, so how do we know that whether a lens is coated or it is uncoated? So for a hard coat, it is difficult to determine with a naked eye. Only way to determine is the smoothness of the surface. With a coated lens, the surface will be smoother or than the uncoated. Next, so this was all about protecting the lens. Next, we come to improving the clarity of the lens. Now, clarity is required to clarity of the lens can be improved. First thing that we need to do is we need to eliminate reflections from top of the lens. We already know that any lens surface or any surface has three different properties: reflection, refraction, transmission, and absorption. So reflections is one of the most important things which reduces transmission and transparency of a lens. That's why we always try to eliminate reflections. So to reduce the reflection is one of the major things to improve clarity of the lens. Next is to prevent water, dust, oil to remain on the lens for longer time. Once that remains on the lens for a longer time, then it is difficult to clean the lens, and then it reduces the clarity of the lenses. So if we can give something which can reduce this kind of things to remain on the lens for longer time, that means the things can wipe off, then the remains becomes much more clearer. So the first thing, that is reducing reflection. So what is reflection? You can see this picture. This is what I'm talking about, reflection. What it does is it reduces the transparency. You see 100% light, 10% is getting reflected, so only 90% is getting transmitted. So our objective by cutting off the reflection is to make 100% transmission, which is ideally not possible, but we are trying to reach closest possible to 100%. Now, what is the coating that we do? Anti-reflection coating. I'm sure most of you have heard, and the most common or usual brand that is available in the market for this anti-reflection coating is Crizal, which is a very, very common brand from Essilor and very well-known brand from Essilor. They're doing a fantastic work. So this is anti-reflection, but there are different other anti-reflection coatings also. Usually, anti-reflection coating, what they do, they reduce reflections. When we have to reduce reflections, we have anti-reflection coating. So anti-reflection coating is a microscopically thin multi-layer coating that eliminates reflection from the front surface and the back surface of the lens. Usually, the thickness of the coating is around 0.2 to 0.3 micron. So you can understand the thickness is very, very thin. By the way, the coating, the thickness for the hard coating is 0.5 to 1 micron. Here it is 0.2 to 0.3 micron. That means this is even more thinner than a hard. Purpose, we already know, it reduces unwanted reflection from both the lens surfaces and increase. Eventually, when it reduces reflections, it increases amount of light that actually pass through and eventually increase transmission through the lens. Now, when we are talking about when we are talking about anti-reflection coating, we as an optometrist, because we need to explain the patients properly, or we need to dispense the lens, we need to know a bit about the principle of anti-reflection coating. Now, the ideal or the usual principle based on which the anti-reflection coating works is called as destructive interference. That when two light wavelengths are meeting and destructing or cutting each other, definitely the reflections are cutting and the transmission is increasing. Two wavelengths, when they meet trough to trough or crest to crest, they destruct each other. Now, how is this destructive interference being fulfilled? This can be fulfilled only when the coating has been manufactured following two conditions. What are those conditions? The path condition and the amplitude condition. Now, what does the path condition determine? The path condition determines how much of thickness coating be. The amplitude condition determines what should be the refractive index of the coating. That means what material should I select as a coating. According to path condition, it says that the destructive interference will work the best if the thickness of the coating is 1/4 of the wavelength of light that we are selecting to transmit. And according to amplitude condition, the refractive index of the material of the coating should be square root of refractive index of the lens that is being coated, or of the material of the lens that is being coated. That means if you want to coat a CR39 lens, a normal CR, not the high index I'm talking, normal CR39 lens, normal index. So a normal index CR39 lens has a refractive index of 1.49. So to coat that material, we need a material which has a refractive index of root over 1.49. And the wavelength of light, that example, generally the wavelength of light that is selected is the middle of the visible spectrum, which is around 500 to 550 nanometer. So any wavelength between if you select that this is the best wavelength that must transmit to our eyes, so we select that wavelength, and the thickness of the coating is kept at 1/4 of that particular selected wavelength. Only if these two conditions are fulfilled, then only this destructive interference will work perfect. So that is the principle. Now, layers of ARC. Now, that principle, we can understand that only a single layer of ARC will work, but it will only work for a single. Now, as just now what we said, what is that single wavelength? Which usually 550 nanometer. But are we only seeing single wavelength? No, we have multiple wavelengths in the visible spectrum. To have that ARC working for multiple wavelengths in the visible spectrum, we need a multiple layer of anti-reflection coating. So that means we can understand that the more layer of anti-reflection have, the more is better anti-reflection coating it works, the more useful the anti-reflection coating is. Okay, then when we see anti-reflection coating, we will also see, because this will be most of the questions for a patient that will come to our clinic, that they will ask, what is this reflection? Now, as we said, anti-reflection coating tries to eliminate reflection 100%, but 100% is always not possible. That is the ideal condition. So what happens? Approximately 1% of reflectance will be there. So that 1% reflectance is seen on the lens surface when you hold the spectacle with the anti-reflection coating at an angle. When you see at an angle, there is some amount. So that green, that color can be blue, that color can be green, yellow, depending on which wavelength has been selected to produce that, or which wavelength has been selected for that. You remember the path condition. So which wavelength has been selected to fulfill that path condition, that reflection is mildly seen. That is 1% is mildly seen. So that is what. So if somebody asks, you said there will be no reflection. No, sir, there cannot be 100% elimination of reflection. There will be little bit, 1%. Nowadays with Rizal and all, they are saying that even 99.8%, so only 0.2%, 0.3% of reflectance are seen. So that means it is most very, very visible or very, very transparent. Now coming to advantages of ARC, the first advantage, definitely it increases transmission. It increases transmission, it reduces glare and improves clarity of the lens, and eventually patient gets a clearer strain to the eye. Definitely. Second is reduce star-like effect from the headlight of opposite vehicles, and street lamps improve vision in the night. Third, decreases edge reflections from the lens, and also if you sunglass, you can give ARC coating on sunglasses also. What it does is it reduces the back surface, the backside reflections from a sunglass. Now, these are advantages. Now, are there any disadvantage or cons? Now, we cannot say disadvantage, but there is some cons, some limitations of an AR coating. The first thing is, because as I said, the thickness of the coating is very, very thin. So it's a very flimsy coating, and hence it needs much more care to clean the lens with the coating, because the coating can peel off with rough handling. So you need to be much more careful with the of a lens with the air coated lens. And second is, because it makes the lens much more transparent, there is a second way of seeing it. Like if there is any kind of smudge marks, mostly I'm talking about smudge is like the fingerprint mark, any kind of smudge mark becomes much more visible, because the transparency increases through the lens. So it becomes a bit more exaggeration of the contrast between clean lens and a dirty lens. So that means you start feeling a little bit of dirt also starts feeling to you that it is very dirty. That's kind of a anti coating. I mean, it's a kind of a cone for an air coating, but we should not say it's a disadvantage. It's like a small cone. Now, how to counter that cone? We have certain things. So one way of countering the second cone, especially, that to make the lens look much more dirtier because of the contrast exaggeration. So what we can do is we can coat on top of the anti-reflection coating. We can give some kind of coating which is called a easy clean coat, which removes any kind of dirt, water, or skin oil, or reduces the effectivity or any kind of smudge marks. Okay. So what happens is, if you give this kind of easy clean coat, so it becomes easier to clean. So what is that coating? That coating is called hydrophobic multi clean coat. Hydrophobic, as you can understand, it is water repellent or water resistant. And multi clean, because any kind of dust, oil, smudge, grease, this can be cleaned very easily. Why is it so? This coating increases the surface wetting angle of the particles falling on it. Hence, they don't stay on the lens surface, making it easy to clean, because it weakens the surface bonding among the water and the surface of the lens. Given on top of an anti-reflection coating. Always it is given on top of an anti-reflection coating. And this coat creates a lower surface energy, which reduces friction, making the lens surface smooth and creating an anti-static surface. Principle is based on lotus leaf effect. That means it increases the surface wetting angle. So when the surface wetting angle is low, that means any kind of water drop will start sticking with the surface. So even if you clean the surface or if you clean the water, what happens, that water drop mark remains on the surface of the lens, and you have to clean it harder. With this kind of coating, what happens, if you've seen a lotus leaf, if any water falls on the lotus leaf, what happens, it slips out. So this coating makes the lens surface much more slippery. How? By increasing the surface wetting angle. Anything falls on it, it slips off. So even if there is water or oil, you clean it, it automatically cleans the lens much more properly. So you don't have to clean the lens surface much more harder. Definitely, if you don't have to clean the lens surface much more hardly, then your anti-reflective coating also remains intact more nicely. So this coating is given on top of an anti-reflection coating. So usually, just now we studied about three coatings, that is our scratch resistant, anti-reflective, hydrophobic coating. So first coating works as a base for the anti-reflection coating, which is your scratch resistant. Then you have the anti-reflection, and on top of it you have a hydrophobic coating, which works as the roof or the protection for the anti-reflection coating. Anti-static coating is kind of the same. It's included with the hydrophobic coating itself. So this coat, what it does is it reduces negative charge buildup. So definitely when we clean a lens, we rub the lens. So what it does is it increases static energy or negative charges. So with the anti-static coating, that static energy is not developed. Hence, it does not attract dust, so often with the coat. It repels dust. This is what happens. Yeah, what I was talking about is increasing the surface wetting angle. If you have a low surface wetting, the water droplet spills and sticks on the surface. If you have a higher surface wetting angle, the water droplet, there is a lower contact angle and hence it peels off. So there is no wetting over it. So basically the hydrophobic coating can resist your lenses from so many things: water, smudges, scratches, reflection with the anti-reflection coating, and also dust with the static coating. Now the next type of coating, what I'm going to talk is a utility coating, which is called an anti-fog coating. Now why did I say utility coating? Because the first three coating is something which is given irrespective of anybody. That means you give it to the lens to clean the lens or to enhance the lens performance. But this coating is something which, of course, it enhances the lens performance, but it is not something which you should give to everybody. It is a very, very professional driven, that means lifestyle driven coating. If a person has a requirement that he is in this kind of situation, or where he has lot of climate change, or there is a transition of his working environment from cold environment to a warm environment very frequently, and his spectacles are getting fogged very often, in that case you need to give them a anti-fog coat. Now what is this anti-fog coat? Firstly, now there are some permanent coatings of anti-fog, which is eyeglass coating called as OptiCoat, which was created as a permanent coating. But in India, what I know is we have a OptiFog coat, which is from Essilor. Now how does that work? Anti-fog coating property of OptiFog lens is activated. Now there is a coating, that coating is not always activated. It has to be activated by applying a drop of OptiFog activator to each side of the lens. Then when wiping the lens with a microfiber cloth, thoroughly to spread the liquid across the lens surface. Now this treatment keeps the lens fog free for up to 1 week. That means once you activate the thing, the OptiFog property remains activated for around a week. This is according to Essilor. Okay. And OptiFog lenses, they can be available in plastic, polycarbonate, high index lens, everything. So that means the coating, they give the coating in with, from the lens itself, I mean from the lab itself, but it has to be activated. So along with the coat, you will get a OptiFog drop also. Now why I said it is a very requirement of, it is a requirement to know whether the person needs it or not, and why you should not readily advise anybody to go with OptiFog who says that sometimes in AC and it gets fogged. So you should not give it to everybody. Only a person who needs it very regularly, you give it. Why? The major reason is the material with which this OptiFog coating is being made is a hydrophilic compound. Now, if you remember, after the anti-reflection coating, we were giving hydrophobic coating. Now, if you give hydrophobic coating, you cannot give an anti-fog coating. And if you give anti-fog coating, you cannot give hydrophobic coating, because anti-fog coatings are a hydrophilic compound. So you need to know who requires what. A person who is more into dusty regions or who is having more work outside, they need a hydrophobic or dust resistant. Whereas a person who remains more indoors and who has a profession where they need to change their environment from cold to warm or warm to cold very frequently, they need to go for anti-fog coating or OptiFog coating. So you need to ask the person, or you need to ask the patient what is his requirement before suggesting any kind of this kind of coating. Rest, scratch resistant, anti-reflection can be given to all. But the hydrophobic coating or OptiFog coating, you need to select whether which one is more required for a person according to his daily life activity. Now this was all about increasing the reflectance or increasing the transmission or performance or clarity of the lens. Protection of the lens, scratch resistant coating. Increasing clarity of the lens, anti-reflection, hydrophobic coating, or even anti-fog coating if required. The cosmetic appearance of the lens. To improve cosmetic appearance of the lens also, we have certain coating. The first one is called as mirror coating. I'm sure you might, most of you nowadays, or most of us nowadays, we use mirror coating sunglasses, or even in our car windshields we use mirror coating. So what is mirror coating? Mirror coating are derived from derived as a functional reflective coating to help redirect sunlight from the surface of a lens. So mirror coating can be applied to almost any lens material and are most commonly applied to the outer surface of the lens. Mind you, outer surface. It is applied to a lens by a vacuum application to interference lens layer made of powdered oxide, metal, lacquered plastics or other available compounds. Now the most important thing here, mirror coating are composed of constructive interference. Mind you, if you remember, anti-reflection coating was made of this, or principle was destructive interference. Mirror coating are composed of constructive interference. Why? Because with the help of mirror coating, actually what we are doing is we are trying to increase the reflection of the unwanted light. That means if somebody is in a very sunny condition where even the normal tint of his lens is not helping him to reduce the intensity of light to enter, in that case a mirror coating is better because it will start reflecting of the unwanted lights away. So with the help of mirror coating we actually want to increase the reflection. That's why it is mostly given with a sunglass or a shade, and which is used mostly in sunny weather or excessive sunny climate. Next, there are some things that if you as a practitioner is suggesting somebody with mirror coating in your clinic or in your opticals, you need to also inform them how to maintain the mirror coating because it requires certain amount of maintenance. So mirror coating should be cleaned with specially formulated lens cleaner. Other commonly used homemade solutions include, that means these kind of cleaners only can be used to clean the mirror coating. Can be used, but the pH should not be higher than 7.5 and the soap should be diluted in water. If you want to use isopropyl alcohol in what, and that also in water. Nowadays with COVID, we most of us are using the hand sanitizer and everything which is having isopropyl alcohol 70%, but this here don't use that sanitizer directly. We can use that to clean the mirror coating after diluting in water. How much of dilution? 50-50 mix we can use on a regular basis, or we can keep some amount of detergent. What is that not use? Stay away from strong detergent soap and strong acidic or base solution. pH which is ranging around 10. So we should not use those kind of detergent of soap or even ammonia based or things to, or even some industrial cleaners to use or to clean this kind of mirror coating. So before you dispense mirror coating, you need to inform the patient that you are taking a mirror coated sunglass. The coating can peel off if you use this kind of. So you need to take care it properly. These are pictures of what I was talking about mirror coating. I'm sure many of us are using also certain kinds of sunglasses. They look very fashionable, they look cool, and also they help in reducing unwanted extra intense light and keep your eyes cooler below the sunglasses or the shade. Next coating comes is the tinted lens. Now, tinted lens are coatings used on spectacle lens to reduce the intensity of extra bright light entering the eye. It improves visibility by blocking the unwanted intensity of light, improves in contrast, to some extent makes visibility more comfortable. Okay. Serves as a fashionable lens also and can protect eyes from harmful radiations also. Okay. So tinted lens are basically the color that we do on the lens. Usually why we do this? To reduce the intensity, extra bright light if they are entering our, to reduce that intensity, what we do, we tint, we color, and that color absorbs the extra bright light. Now there are different types of tints and they have different uses. What we know is a gray tint, green tint, brown tint, amber tint, and their benefits are written over here. Usually we can use a yellow tint or a orange tint for some kind of places where we need, especially yellow tint is very good for poor lighting. That means if somebody wants a glass which enhances them in night driving or which helps them in night driving, a yellow tint or an amber tint is very good. Whereas if somebody says that if I want to wear a tinted lens or a spectacle, but I don't want the color that I see through the lens to be interfered, that means the natural color perception should not go. In that case, a gray or a green tint is very, very good, because gray and green are always having natural color reproduction, specifically gray. They have good protection also, but if you look through the tint, the color that you see through the tint is not the color of the tint, but the natural color of what you are seeing. Now, if somebody wants contrast enhancement or depth perception, red is very good. Red tint helps in enhancing your contrast and depth perception. Okay, these are the basic categories of tint that we have. Now, tint is something which is permanent color. Now, we also want something, so most of us in our prescription lens, where out in the sun, it changes into dark. When we come out, it changes into white, which is called as photochromic lens. So, photochromic lens is an optical lens that dark on the exposure to sunlight or exposure when we go outside in sunlight, most commonly. But remember, it's not the sunlight that is darkening it, it is the UV light in the sun that is actually darkening it. And then it becomes clear when that UV is absent. That means when there is absence of in sunlight or UV light, it automatically clears. But when you are going in the sun and there is ultraviolet radiation in the, that then only the lens can, or the photochromic lens turns into dark. So photochromic lenses can be made of glass, polycarbonate, plastic, anything. Glass photochromics, they have embedded microcrystal, silver halide. So glass photochromic is on the principle of silver halide principle. They have microcrystals usually. So what happens when the UV light falls, the silver halide breaks into silver and halide, and then UV they join back. And but the plastic photochromic, usually what happens, they uses organic photochromic molecules. They imbibe that this particular molecule in the lens itself. So these lenses darken when exposed to ultraviolet. Always remember, it is not the sunlight that is changing the color, but it is actually the ultraviolet light that is present in the sunlight. Ultraviolet light that is in the sunlight, that is changing the color. Okay. With photochromic material dispersed in glass substrate, the degree of darkening depends on the thickness of the glass. Now, when it's a silver halide, the degree also sometimes depends on the thickness of the glass. That means if you are wearing a higher prescription, definitely your thickness will be higher. So in that case, there will be some problem with the thickness, with the variable thickness of the lens, and then the darkening will be reduced. Whereas with the plastic material, it is not like that, because the plastic is embedded into the surface layer by a uniform thickness of up to 150. The photochromicity is being imbibed or embedded in the plastic material. That's the advantage of the plastic photochromics nowadays. So that means the darkening effect is uniform throughout the lens. Whereas in glass, usually those days, what used to happen was it used to vary. The darkening effect used to vary in the lens itself. The thickness, thicker portion and the non-thicker portion, two different type of darkening. Now, there is one cone or one limitation of a photochromic lens, which while you are dispensing this lens to somebody, you need to inform, always advise the patient, which is they should never expect a photochromic lens to be as dark as a sunglass. Why? Because usually, if it is a very high temperature, usually that photochromic effect is actually thermal. In thermal process, it actually becomes and also second thing is because it is dependent on UV. So if somebody expects that when it is very sunny but there is low UV, in that case, if the photochromic is not turning dark as much as it should be, or it is not compared to his sunglass, it is not as that dark, you need to inform that, sir, this photochromicity is not something which is related with the temperature, but it is related with, when the darkening effect is more related with your UV. The more UV, the more darker the photochromic lenses will be. It's not the temperature that makes it dark, whereas but actually it is the UV that makes it dark. That's why you need also to that, let's say, sir, you are driving, the patient is driving, okay, and he is sitting inside his car with his photochromic lenses on in a bright sunny morning. He will see inside the car, his photochromic lenses will not turn dark or will turn very low dark. Why? Because inside the car, there is very less UV, because the UV is protected or the UV is being absorbed by the windshields of the car itself. That's why you need to also inform them that if there is less UV, then this is a UV thing. If there is more UV, there will be more darkening effect, whereas there is less UV, there will be less darkening effect. That means if it's a cold weather and there is less sunlight but there is more UV, the lenses actually will become more darker. So we need to inform these things before we are dispensing a photochromic lens to a patient, because usually when you give photochromic lenses, what I have seen when I was working in clinic also, that the patient has an expectation that the photochromic lens will be as dark as the sunglass, especially in the sun, which is not true. So we need to inform them clearly about that. That sir, this is something which is related with your UV, and also the whitening effect. The whitening effect also you need to improve. Nowadays, with the new generations of photochromic, especially with the transition 6, transition 7, transition extra dark, transition signature and all, the whitening has also reduced. That means it becomes dark faster and it becomes white also faster the moment you are indoors. So the way to dispense a photochromic is to say that, so you can use this particular thing both indoors and outdoors, but when you are outdoors, don't expect it to be as dark as your sunglasses. Lenses. Now, polarized lenses is something which is used specially for cutting out reflections from the horizontal surface. That means it reduces glare effect by cutting out reflected light from the horizontal surfaces. At one particular angle, there is a polarizer which they fix or they put in the lens, and that cuts off the reflected glare or reflected glare from the reflected surface. Now, what do we mean by reflected glare? Let's say if somebody is driving in a bright sunny morning and the sun is falling on the bonnet or on the road, and there is a reflection which shows a misty effect due to the reflection. So with a polarizer or with a polarized sunglass, that glare effect can be. Advantages of polarized lenses: it gives clear vision, especially in bright light. It increases contrast, and there is minimal color distortion, and it reduces glare and reflections from the horizontal surface. Now, there are certain disadvantages of polarized. Now, as I said, polarized lens means there is a polarizer which is working at a particular angle. So if you are using that and you are looking at an LCD screen which also has a polarizer, so that it is a disadvantage, because at one particular angle everything will become dark. Okay, so that's why that is a disadvantage. Second is low light situations and driving at night, you cannot use polarized lenses, because most of the polarized lenses, they come with a darker tint, so you cannot use that lens to drive at night, because they are anyways dark, and with night low light it will even become difficult for the person to see. So you should not use a polarized lens. If somebody is coming and asking you, I want a glass which helps me in night driving, you can give them a tinted lens with yellow or a orange tint, but you should not suggest them polarized lens. Okay, that's why it is not a suggested one. Now, some other coatings available that are available in the market also. Nowadays, we have a blue light preventive coating which is being given on top. So blue light preventive coating, as they say, which is also brand named as Preventia or something, from Essilor, Preventia, yes, from Essilor. So they say that, or maybe there is other brand names for other different brand of lenses also. So this coating, what it does, it reduces harmful blue light. Mind you, all blue lights are not harmful. So this coating only the harmful blue light, which they say they have made it that way, that selectively they can reduce harmful blue light to enter your eyes. Now, what does blue light does? Blue light has a bad effect because it's short wavelength, it is more penetrative, so it harms our macula very much. That's why they want to prevent or restrict that harmful blue light in entering. The next thing is back surface UV also, which is come out from Crizal, which they brand name as Crizal Forte UV, where they have given a UV coating but only on the back surface, which that they can eliminate the reflected UV from the back surface. There is one more coating that is coming out, or that has come. It's called Avance coating, which they say they have a double scratch resistant or a scratch resistant booster to eliminate the or to increase the scratch resistant effect on the lens. Okay, these were all the coatings from my side. whatever coatings we do nowadays. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was very, very informative. I'm sure our audience also felt that way. So, moving on to the question session. Sir,
Okay.
shall I read out the question?
Yes.
Okay. So, the first some few questions are from Mr. Ritik. So, he says, I live in a warm environment and I sweat a lot. So, it gets hazy. The lens gets hazy due to sweat, and he has to clean it all the time. So,
Hmm.
does spectacle cleaning every day wear off the coating?
Yes. If what you asked, Mr. Ritik, is a good question, because as you said that you have to clean your lens very frequently. Yes, that's what I said, that if you repetitive cleaning can wear off the lens material. We have the coating which is hydrophobic coating you can give. What it does is it does not allow the sweat or the dust or the oil to remain on the lens. So what happens? Repetitive coating, repetitive not the problem. The problem is when you clean the lens, you will feel without a hydrophobic coating, the lens will not be feeling exactly 100% clean. There will be some amount of stain of that water drop or the sweat drop on the lens remaining. But with the hydrophobic coating, you can just with a normal clean, it's also called as easy clean coat. So with a normal sweep with your microfiber, you can clean the lens properly. And because you are not giving extra effort or extra pressure on the lens, that will improve. Even if you are repetitively cleaning, but because you are giving less pressure on the lens, that will improve the life of the lens. So if you are feeling that you have, we know that we are in a warm condition and we sweat a lot. So for them, this hydrophobic coating on the lens surface is very, very important. It can help in improving the lens life even with repetitive coating, because the pressure required to clean the lens is lesser, because that hydrophobic coating makes the lens easy to clean. Thank
Thank you, sir. The next question is Essilor and Nova, both of them use Crizal coat, but still there's a huge difference between their light transmission and vision quality. Is there any reason for this?
I don't think it's the Essilor and Hoya they use Crizal coat is correct, but I don't think it's because of the coating, but maybe because of the lens material. I'm not, to be honest, I am not with any of these companies, so I really cannot give you any particular brand verification. But what I know about Crizal is one, which is from Essilor. It has been, I think Hoya also uses that, Essilor also uses that, but in terms of the coating, the Crizal coating is the same way of manufacturing. But when it comes to the lens material, maybe that the transparency or the transmission or the clearance through the lens may be different. But I'm not sure exactly about which brand uses how. So I think if somebody over here or anybody else from Essilor or Hoya can clear the question. But in terms of Crizal, I think the way of manufacturing Crizal is same for both the companies, because it's the same, not the different.
So the next question is
Yes.
patients can be asking two or more coats in a single vision lens. How many coats is it? How many coats is it possible to be applied on a single vision lens?
Okay. Single vision lens, if it's a prescription lens, eh, there is no like there is limitation that how many coats can be applied or something. It depends on the patient's needs. So definitely, if it's a prescription lens and it's an organic lens, definitely you will first give a scratch-resistant coating, and then you will give a anti-reflection coating to reduce the reflection. Then you will give a hydrophobic coating to cut off, to make it easy clean and reduce water droplets and all. These are the basic. Now, if the person, as I said, it's depending on the profession. If the person says, I always remain in a colder environment and I have to move or have to change the environment, you don't give a hydrophobic, you straight away go for an anti-fog coating. But if you give a hydrophobic coating and then now let's say the person also says, nowadays with the hydrophobic coating or with any of this anti-fog coating stick, there comes the blue coat. Blue coat is something which they are giving to reduce the blue light transmission, or to reduce the harmful blue light transmission to the lens. So you can give a blue coating, so that becomes your fourth layer. Now if the person also says that I I'm outside for a long time and I want my lenses. That means I need a lens to be dark and at the same time while going out and coming in. So you can give a photochromicity to the lens itself. So all this you can give. Now, previously, if you are giving a photochromicity, there was, you couldn't have done a polarized thing to that. But nowadays, especially now transition has come up. If I'm not wrong, the name of the lens is Vantage, which is a photochromic as well as a polarized lens. So nowadays that is also available. That option is available. So it depends on the person. So basically around 8 to 9 layers of coating can be done for both a single lens if you require. Then if somebody wants to get it tinted, you can also get it tinted. If you don't want to get it tinted, you just want to keep it photochromic, you want to keep it photochromic, can also. If you want to make it a prescription sunglass in a normal like Experio and all, they can do polarized prescriptions also. So basically around 8 to 9 layers of coating is possible to be done in any kind of lenses, and some of the sunglasses they can do even more. Now this is all with one layers of coating. Now all these layers will come like around both surfaces. So two surface, photochromic, anti-reflection coating two surface, hydrophobic two surface. So like this, you can go around 8 to 9 layers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Mr. Ritik again. So is there any difference between blue block lens and blue cut lens?
I think they are all the same, but they use a different brand name or different way of, different way of promoting the lens. Blue cut, blue block, they are all kind of the same. Whatever they do is they cut the harmful blue light. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Rajita. So do blue cut lens help to prevent dry eyes?
Sorry, Rajita, I'm not sure about that one. I didn't undergo, I haven't gone through any studies which suggest something like that. I think maybe in future we can do some study on it and let's see the effectivity, whether it really helps in reducing dry eye or not. But dry eye is something which is related with ocular surface, and the blue cut lens is reducing the harmful blue rays. I'm not sure if blue rays has any effect on the ocular surface because it's a short wavelength, so which penetrates more and it has more bad effect on the macula. So, but I'm not telling you it doesn't, or I'm not telling you it does. It's all like I haven't come across any research yet. So maybe if somebody conducts a research and then it is published, then we will come to know about it. Or maybe we can later conduct a research on it and find out. Thank you. As of now, I'm not really sure about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So the next question from Satvinder Singh. How warm water affects the coating?
Come again? Hello? Can you please repeat the question once more? Sorry.
Yes, sir. So how warm water can affect the coating?
How long water?
How warm water, lukewarm water, how will it affect the?
Okay, yes. Okay, lukewarm water. I think what it can do is it can peel off the anti-reflection because it's a very flimsy layer. So there can be bad effect. Lukewarm water may or may not, but if it's a warm water or if it's a hot water, yes, it can peel off the anti-reflection. Or even the mirror coating. If you have a mirror coated sunglass, even it can peel off or it can cringe the mirror coating. So yes, but lukewarm water maybe may not be. But warm water, yes, it can peel off the coating. There are chances because when we give or when we prescribe anti-reflection coating, we usually say them don't keep it in places or don't keep it on your car dash where the sun is falling very directly and it is very hot and something like that. So in that case, there can be problem, but not very sure about that. But yes, the coating can peel off if you use very hot water, especially the anti-reflection coating, because it's a very flimsy layer. 0.2 to 0.3 micron, you can understand how flimsy. Thank you.
So the next question from same Satvinder Singh. He asks, what if someone uses 100% of blue light blockage coating? Will it affect their eyes?
I think there are some useful effects of the blue light also. So it's not good to have 100% blue light blockage. I think that may have some, that may have some effect, because the blue light also, there is some effect of the blue light with the dopamine hormone and release and etc. All these things. So they have a relation with that. So there are some good effects of the blue light. There are some bad effects of the blue light. So we only need to eliminate the bad effects. We don't want to reduce the good effect also by a 100% blue light block. Thank
So the next question is from Deepak. He asks, what is Crizal Preventia lens?
Yeah, Mr. Deepak, the thing that I said, Crizal Preventia lens is a blue cut or blue coat lens from Essilor. So it blocks the harmful blue rays, and it eliminates the harmful blue rays from entering our eye. So Crizal Preventia is the brand name for a blue cut lens, a blue coating lens from Essilor.
Thank you, sir. So next question is, under what environment should we use the blue light preventing coating?
Usually, any environment. There is no specific environmental prescribed way of using the blue light, but it is most useful, especially at night, when, let's say, most of us, we all nowadays, we have smartphones or we have our electronic gadgets we are using, especially when we are, before going to bed, we use that, right? So what tend to do is, we are on the bed and we switch off or we dim the light of the room, and we try to use, and we keep on using our smartphones. So generally this blue light is being emitted from these LED devices or smartphones and everything. So usually that, when we are using our blue light, blue coated lenses during that period, it is very effective, but it doesn't mean that we should use only then. We can use it all throughout. In fact, to give you a practical example, I myself am using a blue coat lens and I use it throughout the day. I have a blue coat lens which is also photochromic, so use it outdoors and I use it indoors as well. So you can use it any time of the day. It's just like a normal coating, which harmful blue light always. Thank you.
So the next question is from Krish. So he asks, can you explain about anti-static?
Static is something which is a phenomenon added on that same hydrophobic coating itself. What it does is it reduces, like if you are rubbing something, we all know that when we rub something, there is some amount of negative charge or static charge that is created. So what this anti-static does is it reduces that static charge to be created on the lens. Now, because of that static charge, what happens? It attracts dust. So when you have an anti-static, it does not attract dust, or it dust on the lenses. So it becomes easier to clean the lens. Basically, it's that. Thank you. Anti-static, as the word goes, anti-static. It reduces the static effect when you are rubbing on the lenses. It reduces the static charge that is created when you are rubbing a lens.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is, can we decoat and recoat in the CR39 ARC lens?
Decoat, yeah, I think yes, you can. I think yes, you can. If a coating has peeled off, I think there is a way where you can return it to the lab person and they can recoat the lenses. But I'm not sure if the lens is very old, they can recoat it properly. If it's a new lens which is peeled off, yes, there is certain life expectancy of a lens. So once the lens has reached that life expectancy, and then it will be difficult to recoat again. But yes, if it's a new lens and initial days of a lens, and unfortunately, let's say that coating has peeled off, in that case, I think you can ask the company people, they can take back and they can maybe recoat or replenish the lens. So yes, it is possible. But we need to ask the company guys if they can recoat it. Thank you.
Okay, sir. So thank you so much. We are wrapped up with the question session now. On behalf of IBITS and our audience, I would like to thank our speaker, Mr. Shubhadeep. Sir, thank you very much for making this session very informative and interactive. And we thank you for the knowledge you have imparted to us today. So I would like to get a small feedback on how today's session was from you.
I was really thrilled and I was really honored to be a part of this session and this series of lectures. Thank you for Optoms and their team for inviting me as your guest lecturer, or as your you can say to give the talk or conduct this session. And so thrilled that people were interacting and they were asking a lot of questions, which is good. That means they have really paid attention. So it was very interactive session. Thank you very much. I would also like to say that that if anybody is willing, you can write me any doubts after this. You can write me on my email address. I have put out over here. So and then if anybody wants to perform masters or any higher studies, you can also write for that. Our university is in Malaysia, and we are open for any kind of this kind of proposals or your higher education. So thank you. I would like to again thank you for Optom for giving me this platform to impart my knowledge, whatever I have impart and give this talk. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. It was a pleasure having you here. So that brings us to the end of the session today. Thanks to our audience for being so interactive, supportive, and patient today. On that note, I would like to end our meeting. This session will be on YouTube soon, and stay tuned for more sessions on IBITS for Optom. You can also visit us at www.foroptom.com for more info on IBITS. Also, you can join us on social media, WhatsApp, Facebook, and Instagram. Until then, stay home, stay safe, and have a great weekend ahead. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.